We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love, we adore, we are passionate, everything about college football. And if you are as well, if you need just a little bit of extra college football content to get you through the days, to get you through the nights, subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Some people don't, but if you do, please smash that like button. Share the video with your family and friends. Share it with your priest, your psychiatrist. Share it across all of your social media platforms. Welcome into the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Welcome in. We have a very stacked show. All of our shows seem to be stacked, and we're not even into the college football season. In the college football season, when that starts in 2023, look out, buckle up, brace for impact. I want to thank everybody that's come on in early in the show. Sko Ducky, C. Kev, Luis Carlos Diaz, Laura Weiss, KS Bear FN, however you pronounce that. Jeff Olson, Plot Twist, the Evil Badgers in the house. Conundrum, Kenneth Bowman, Matt Neeson, thanks for coming on in. Nathan Campbell says hi. I say hi to you, Nathan. Dustin Flannery's in the house. Jonathan Weaver, Mr. Monkey says, Illabuck, Buckshot Kid. Jesse Wilson's in the house. Sean Singh is in the house. Obsidian is also in the house. A lot of people coming on in early. It's a stacked show. Cornelius Green, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, absolutely. Jim Reese is in the house. Corey Belt. Okay, let's get to it. First of all, the Big Ten Network is going to release the matchups for the 2024 season. They're also going to be the they're also going to be releasing the protected rival list at 3:30 Central Time, 4:30 Eastern Time. So that's in about 24 minutes. I'm going to watch it on my phone in real time reaction, give you some what I believe, my thoughts on it all. You give me your thoughts on it all. There is some, we'll get into Jack Swarbrick. We'll get into Colorado. The meeting on June 9th has been canceled. That 30-minute public meeting was going to be done remote. I'm going to give you my thoughts on what all that is about as well. First of all, let's get into what we do know about the Big Ten schedule. Brett McMurphy released the Big Ten 2024 conference schedule. Sources told Action Network. Now, it hasn't been released officially. That happens in 23 minutes from now. But Brett McMurphy was able to release the following games for 2024. We do not know the dates. Okay? Michigan at USC. So USC gets a home game. Michigan, USC, you're going to be selling a lot of tickets in your home schedule going forward. The Buckeyes visit UCLA. Wisconsin at Michigan. Iowa at USC. UCLA at Michigan. Michigan plays both USC and UCLA. Wisconsin at USC. Nebraska at UCLA. Iowa at Ohio State. USC at Penn State. USC at Iowa. USC at Penn State. Holy smokes. You can see there's 4 UCLA games listed there. UCLA plays the Buckeyes. UCLA plays the Wolverines on the road. UCLA plays Nebraska at home. UCLA goes on the road to Iowa. There are 4 games listed there for UCLA. We at Peek Around the Corner was able to release this game. Sources have told PATC the Minnesota Golden Gophers will be going on the road to play at the Rose Bowl versus the UCLA Bruins in 2024. So for UCLA, if you're watching out there in PATC community, you know that, well, you don't know. You don't have to take, maybe you don't believe us here at PATC, but that is what our sources have told us. Don't believe anyone else has reported on it, but you will watch it all together, the release of these games. So UCLA will play, according to PATC, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, Ohio State, Michigan. All those are at UCLA's first season in the Big Ten in 2024. Now, I did not get my wish. That UCLA would play Minnesota in 2024 in late November. However, Minnesota will be going to UCLA. Now, people have asked me, when is the last time Minnesota has played in the Rose Bowl? Well, officially in the Rose Bowl game, it was 1962. 1962, Minnesota Golden Gophers in the Rose Bowl, January 1st. Minnesota 21, UCLA 3. Now, they did play UCLA in 1978 at UCLA. I'm not sure if that game was played in the Rose Bowl Stadium. Someone can look that up and let me know. I've got a feeling that maybe it wasn't. I am not sure. But the last time Minnesota played in the Rose Bowl, it was 1962. Now, for the protected rivals, Ross Dellinger has put out, now these are not all the protected rivals. I'm pretty sure they're not all, I know they're not all of them. Protected rivalries: Illinois Northwestern, Illinois Purdue, Iowa Minnesota, Indiana Purdue, Iowa, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Maryland, Rutgers, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio State, and of course, Southern Cal, UCLA. I do know that he does have Minnesota, Iowa listed there. I don't know if that's all of them. I don't think that is. I do not believe it is. We're going to find out here shortly, 19 minutes from now. So that is the what has been released before the official announcement, before the initial announcement on the Big Ten Network. That's going to happen 19 minutes from now. I'm going to be watching it. So before we get to that, we have a couple big stories we got to get to. Number one, Colorado, June 9th, that was supposed to be tomorrow, canceled the special board meeting. Now, people are going to ask my thoughts on this. I'm going to tell you what my thoughts on this. I don't see it being reported anywhere. I'm going to give you my thoughts. Now, do we have this nailed down 100%? No. What we do have nailed down, what we believe to be 100%, that I don't think's been reported anywhere else, that June 6th meeting, Colorado Board of Regents meeting in special session, not in public. We said this on our last live show. We believe that was about realignment, discussing the possibility of going to the Big 12. We were told a couple different ways. So, and I know maybe other people have reported that. I don't know. But we're pretty convinced here at Peek Around the Corner that meeting, June 6th, was about what we suspected it was. Was the June 9th meeting about the voting on Colorado? We don't have that locked in. However, it doesn't really matter. We believe Colorado has not applied for the Big 12, hasn't asked for the application of the Big 12. And I would say they have basically, for the time being, and I think it's going to be very short order, they have kicked the can down the road. They've kicked the can down the road for at least into next week. That's what we believe here at Peek Around the Corner. There's not much left to do other than to see those final hard numbers from the Pac-12. That is basically all that there's left to do. And we're not even sure that they're willing to wait to see those hard numbers. Everything else has been done. Do we have it completely locked in that the June 9th 30-minute public meeting done remotely was going to be about the last phase of this realignment when it has to do with the Board of Regents? No, we don't have that locked in, but we do believe June 6th was all about that. And we believe that Colorado, they haven't asked for the application yet. We believe they've kicked that can down the road just a few into next week, and we'll see what happens next week. So, I'm going to get to your comments for 15 minutes, and then we're going to get to the Big Ten release. We'll talk about it in real time, and then we'll get to your phone calls after that. I'm not sure. What is John saying here? John, Nothing was ever up with Colorado. It was all lies. You can't give a straight answer at how Colorado got buy-in from all the stakeholders. No one has a straight answer for why Illinois, Indiana, Northwesterns, etc. of the Big Ten would want more expansion. Well, we have given a straight answer. If they get a little bit more money out of the deal, and they knowing that the Big Ten is going to expand east at some point, which everybody wants, they're going to have to expand west again. They're not going to be a 2024 member conference with only 2 teams west of Lincoln, Nebraska. Now for Colorado, we have given the dates May 7th, May 24th, May 31st. Colorado and the Big 12 have locked eyes to eyes. So it has been serious. Of course, other reporters have been out there saying it now. We said it weeks ago, John. So it hasn't been lies. But if you're going to come on this show and call everybody a liar that disagrees with your take, you're going to be off the chat pretty soon. I can guarantee you that. We can disagree with each other. You start calling people liars. That's about the one thing besides that and hate speech we do not tolerate here at Peek Around the Corner. We have way too much fun. We have way too much diversity in our PATC chat to have a John Famlor hang around here much longer. I'm giving you your first and last warning, okay? Yeah, UCLA played in the Coliseum in the 1970s. Okay, yeah, I think the last time the Gophers have played in the Rose Bowl was 1962. They're going to be playing it here in 2024. We're going to find that out in 12 minutes. Has your line changed? Yes, it went down to 4.5. It's going to go down to 3.5 at the start of next week. We're being very consistent. It will go down. It will go down to 3.5 if by the start of next week, and 2.5 after that, and 1.5 after that. So okay, we're gonna. Why is the PATC popcorn line so long? As we know, the Act 12 started June 1st. We never gave a deadline in Act 12. There's been questions. When will Act 13 start? Act 13 is not going to be starting. Act 12, we're not putting a deadline on it. It continues to go on. We believe Colorado did kick the can down the road. Is the Pac-12 media deal about to get done? We've got no word on it. We've checked. People don't know what it would look like. It's going to be fascinating when they finally release it or finally show it to the Pac-12 presidents. It hasn't been done. We've been saying that for months, and now it got reported the last few days. No one has seen the hard numbers. Arizona president has said they've never seen the hard numbers. Everyone is lined up to make a decision. They've done the work, a lot of work. It hasn't been just one phone call or how you doing. There has been events, especially in May. So, Colorado, for whatever reason, we believe kick the can down the road into at least next week. Now, Peek Around the Corner, we said this on Twitter. I'll say it on the live show. Me and the little general, we're on vacation from June 11th to June 14th. We're getting back late June 14th, late Wednesday night. If something should happen, we're going to be doing a show on June 14th. But from June 11th to midday, June 14th, we're going to be down in southern Minnesota on the Mississippi River, and it's going to be hard for us to do any reporting in regards to what's going on in the Pac-12 saga. Is Colorado looking for a dance partner? No, I don't think so. They've always had the stage, the center of the stage, all to themselves. Arizona has been a couple arm lengths away. And I think, look, we've been saying all this for weeks. In the last few days, you can just listen to Robin's words. He says, I can't make a decision. I need to see the deal. I need to see the numbers. What kind of numbers is Pac-12 going to get at this point? Where are they going to be seen? I think I don't know. I still think Kliavkoff has to pull a rabbit out of the hat. Craig, have you heard anywhere that Nebraska may be leaving the Big Ten to go to the Big 12 when Oregon? No, Nebraska's going nowhere. They're staying in the Big Ten. Staying in the Big Ten. Miami, Florida State to the Big Ten. Going to happen? Not going to happen anytime soon. So, how about the McMurphy tweet about Big Ten being willing to take the non-AAU schools? Yeah, we've always said this at Peek Around the Corner. Big Ten will look at AAU first, but not only. Michigan State came into the Big Ten. They were not AAU. It took them 8 years after they were in the Big Ten to become part of the AAU. So it's happened before. It could happen again with Florida State. Who knows? But AAU, it's not AAU, the private organization, does not hold the veto pen over Big Ten invites. Of course, the Big Ten looks at large research schools, and large research schools occupy the AAU. But there's always schools that have been the exception. The Big Ten has seriously looked at non-AAU schools for an invite. So, no, I don't want to put words in McMurphy's mouth. I think he's just being accurate. These are the candidates. These are the ones that the Big Ten is interested in. Some of them they can't get to for a while, like a Florida State. Now, I would put Clemson at the very bottom of that list. I'm not saying McMurphy will. But all those schools are candidates. And right now, I would put Oregon and Washington at the top of the list, just because they are available in the next couple of years to get into the Big Ten. Any truth to the CW rumors as possible PAC TV partner? I think there is. I think there is. And I think the CW is better than a lot of other options. We've been saying that consistently here. Again, though, what is surrounding the CW? What is that total? What is the real deal Holyfield on the Pac-12 media deal? A lot of people throw a lot of stuff around. They throw some dollar figures around. The Pac-12 presidents have never seen a real comprehensive deal in front of them. Hard numbers. Arizona President Robbins just told you that. We've been telling you that for months. There's nothing has been real. So of course, these Pac-12 presidents and athletic directors have got a plan B. Those who have the option have created a plan B, and they have worked, and they've had events, they've had meetings. So those who says there's been nothing to it, never a chance, you're living in la land. You're living in a fantasy world. These presidents of the Pac-12, they cannot bury their front porch of the university. And maybe that Pac-12 media deal will bury their front porch of the university. We shall see. George Kliavkoff has got to get a deal. Look, Colorado, they have done all the work. And none of it is lies. They have done everything. And they almost did the last thing, I should say. We're getting close. We're getting close to the Big Ten. And then we'll talk about Jack Swarbrick stepping down for Notre Dame. After we get some matchups here, it looks like some stuff is getting released. Nebraska's 2025 schedule. The away games are Maryland, Minnesota, Ohio State, USC. Home is Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Rutgers, UCLA. Okay, so we do have the list here. We do have the games. For 2024, the Ohio State Buckeyes from Monovision and Jared Jones that are in the chat. The Buckeyes away games for 2024 will be Michigan State, Minnesota, Penn State, UCLA. At home, the Buckeyes are playing Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Northwestern, Rutgers. For Penn State, away games, Indiana, Purdue, Rutgers, Wisconsin. At home, Michigan State, Nebraska, Northwestern, Ohio State, USC. So Penn State's got home games against USC, Ohio State, Nebraska, and Michigan State. So they're not going to have any problems filling up their stadium. Yeah, there's no divisions. No divisions. Oh, I missed the super chat. I'm sorry. The chat goes so fast. Jonathan Weaver, I apologize. Is it too late for Oregon, Washington 2024 Big Ten season? I'm not going to say definitely it's too late. Obviously, the schedule makes it way more difficult. Way more difficult for this to happen. Again, we said like in 5 months or in 5 years. So with the schedule 2024 being made, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work, onboarding work. So if you were to bring in an Oregon and Washington in 2025, let's say you bring in an Oregon, Washington, Notre Dame, and something else for 2025 or 2026, that means Oregon and Washington, if they want to get into the Big Ten within the next 5 years, they're going to have to figure out something with that grant of rights if they do become a Pac-12 member. Again, Big Ten's had a lot of, they still have hurdles for expansion. This schedule is just another hurdle for expansion for 2024. It makes it much, much more difficult. Much more difficult. No question about it. I get back to the schedule. How about my Minnesota Golden Gophers? 2024, they're on the road against Indiana, Michigan, Nebraska, UCLA. There it is. There it is. We broke that news about an hour and a half ago that Minnesota would be on the road to UCLA. It's now official. Minnesota, Indiana, Michigan, Nebraska, UCLA, Wisconsin on the road. At home, Iowa, Northwestern, the Buckeyes, and Rutgers. Nebraska, 2024. On the road, Iowa, Northwestern, Penn State, Purdue, UCLA. At home, Indiana, Michigan State, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Let me know if there's any Big Ten Kind of sounds like Gene Smith shut down the possibility of Oregon and Washington for 2024 earlier today. I did not hear what Gene Smith said earlier today, but I know what he said like a couple days ago. And he said this year, it doesn't sound like this year could be possible. They'll take a look at it next year. Which, again, you got to look at Notre Dame. Oregon and Washington. What if the opportunity is there to get into the Big Ten? If Big Ten wants to expand, if there's no more hurdles left, if they make a decision in 2024, would Oregon and Washington have the ability to get into an exit hatch to get out of the Pac-12 or whatever conference they're going to be here for 2024? It's all so fascinating, right? There is interest, strong interest in Oregon and Washington from the Big Ten, but it's about that timing. The timing part is difficult. Let me know if, yes, I finally get to see the Gophers at the Rose Bowl. There's going to be a lot of Gopher fans going there. I can tell you that. Richard, do you think Colorado was offered incentives to not pull the trigger? I don't think so. But this is all going to come out. Either way, Colorado sticks or goes, it's going to come out. People are going to find out because there are still people out there. You can see it in the chat. They're very still hesitant to even believe that a school in the Pac-12 is seriously thinking about moving to the Big 12. Well, they are. Colorado is the most serious at this point and have been for weeks. I don't know. Did Colorado give the Pac-12 a little bit more time to actually present a media deal in front of them? Did Colorado get some communication from Arizona? I'm just speculating. No intel. Arizona saying give it a few more days. Give it another week, early into next week. Don't know. We have no intel on that. But we have reasons to believe that Colorado just kicked the can down the road for a little bit longer. We know we have a very strong opinion that June 6th was all about realignment in that meeting. And that June 9th open public meeting just popped up, canceled. So there's a lot of intrigue, a lot of cloak and dagger involved with all that. Let's get to a few more of these. USC 2024 at home. On the road. USC on the road. Maryland, Northwestern, Penn State, Purdue, UCLA. At home, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin. Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin, all go. All of them are on the road to play at USC, the Coliseum. All those three fan bases travel like crazy. USC is going to find out real quick. Big Ten fans will line up and go to USC, UCLA games. Thank you, Daniel, for the super chat. I appreciate your generosity. I don't know why I would lie. I don't get it. But, people for whatever reason have to believe there's no chance at all for any realignment to happen between the Pac-12 and the Big 12. I'm not sure what that is all about. I get the history. I get their Pac-12 schools don't want to leave each other. But there is this reality about what type of media deal are they going to get? What is it? What is the deal? Once we see the deal, then we can possibly understand the Pac-12 schools staying together. But we got to see the deal. And just remember the dates. May 7th, May 24th, May 31st, 3 very important days. The most important day was May 7th. You all saw, if you read Pete Thamel's article, we did a episode on it yesterday. He said flirtations between Colorado, officials meeting eye to eye. Okay? They were meeting eye to eye. So, you know what? Let's break some news right now. If you want me to break some news, if you want me to go into a little bit of the detail of May 7th, put a Y, put a yes in the comment section. If you want me to keep pushing this off, put a no down. Because people still don't understand how serious this is. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. Troll grinding cheek clapper. Thanks for coming on in to the PATC community. Does the Big Ten allow one school to veto a possible new uniform? Oh. If so, USC and UCLA will always veto Oregon. I don't care if Notre Dame joins due to Big Ten anti-Catholic pass. I think it's harsh. Yes, we know the story of Michigan and Notre Dame and everything. But me being a Catholic, I completely understand it. But we're 2023. I don't think you can cast the Big Ten is not some evil empire, anti this, anti that. Hopefully at some point, everybody can move on and from the past. But I don't think no one school has the veto pen out of invitation to the Big Ten. Not even Ohio State. It's a vote, ladies and gentlemen. It's a vote. But thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead because we're going to go ahead. Look, we were told here at Peek Around the Corner that there was going to be a hot bubble of action. We were given information through the Arizona State Money Perch. Remember, Arizona State Money Perch, I know there's a lot of people new to the channel, but he sent us letters. He was telling that he was the guy who was telling us that there was no deals. There was no deals in front of the Pac-12 presidents. Other people were reporting all this stuff. And we kept telling you there's no deals. There's no concrete offers in front of the Pac-12 presidents. There was nothing. And there was anger being built up. And there's still been nothing. There's still been nothing. Mireille Flugard, the moderator who rules with an iron fist. Danielle, you have a beautiful wife. Say hi to her. I'm in the wife's team. Thanks everyone for the donation and support my boy. He's doing the best. I'm doing the best I can. Arizona State Money Perch, he gave us some information. We gave it to you. It was going to happen between April 28th and May 17th. We said that April 18th or April 17th or April 19th, April 20th, one of those days. On April 28th, we were told it's a happening. We did a live show April 28th. We said hot bubble of action to the point where you all in the PATC community got sick and tired of me. We found out, you remember early we were given a range between April 28th and May 17th. We found out the reasons why it wasn't happening on April 28th, April 29th, and April 30th, that weekend, 29th and 30th. We found out the reason why it wasn't happening after May 7th. We're not going to talk about it because it has to do with people that were in the arena, decision makers, family situations. We knew it was happening May 7th. We knew it was scheduled for May 7th. Now, we were watching this and we were thinking, could this swerve off the road? Could this not happen? All the way up to May 7th, then it happened. What happened on May 7th is the Colorado leadership met with the Big 12. They met for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. It was it was the type of thing where you look at each other straight in the eye. And it happened in a city, a big city in the Midwest. And it happened. And it was a shot to the solar plexus. Colorado left that meeting with 1 or 2 questions. They walked out of that meeting. Eventually, in the days ahead and the weeks ahead, they got those questions answered. And one in particular had to do with a network, one of the networks, and they got their answer. That's all I'm willing to say at this point. And I'm only saying this because Pete Thamel from ESPN basically put it out there. I gave a hint, a wink, wink, and a hint when I was doing the episode. I don't know if anyone caught it when I was reading the article. But that is what happened. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think only a few people knew that it was happening. I don't think anyone in the Pac-12 knew it was happening. I'm pretty sure none of the Pac-12 West Coast writers had a clue what was going on. I could tell nobody had it. We sat back and we said, holy smokes. So the best that we could do, I can't say what city is in, but the peek around the corner community is pretty smart. Let's put it that way. It was a Pac-12 hanging by a thread. Now, I know people out there, they keep saying, well, nothing's going on. There's no chance of anything happening. Pac-12 school would never leave to the Big 12. They might not, but that whole never, no talks are going on. Everybody's lying. Complete inaccurate. Anyways. So then, May 16th, May 17th, we got word that there was an event going on in Boulder, Colorado on May 24th. I'm not going to get into the details of that. Then there was an event in May 31st in a state west of Colorado. I'll just put out the state. California. So, ladies and gentlemen, if there was nothing going on between Colorado and the Big 12 all this time, if there was nothing in there, if there was no cloak, I wouldn't be saying that there was. Why would I? Why would I be telling you guys something that isn't happening? I had to keep it vague. I'm still keeping it vague for the most part, because we did not want to become the story. No one wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that. I just wanted to give you enough information that you knew that things were serious. And then hear what has happened in the last 10 days. All these reports, national reporters, Colorado. That is not by happenstance. That just did not happen. We did not pull our information out of thin air. We do not use a Ouija board or whatever that thing is. Okay? So, we're constantly digging for information at Peek Around the Corner to give to you. That's part of what we do. We do a lot of reporting. We do a lot of coverage of other people's reporting to give you the best information as quick as possible. We also have our negative intel. As you can see, peek around the corner, just today, we put this out at 2:10. Sources have told peek around the corner the Minnesota Golden Gophers will be going on the road to play at the Rose Bowl versus UCLA Bruins in 2024. Now here, an hour and a half later, people have found out that this is true. So we don't, and I'm gonna say another thing. We got something wrong in that May 7th. We told you on April, I don't know what day it was, April 30, May 1st, May 2nd, we told you who was when we were first talking about Act 10 and who was on the stage. In the middle of the stage, it was Colorado. We told you it was the Colorado president, not the chancellor. We at Peek Around the Corner, we screwed up. It was the chancellor, not the president. We found out we screwed up about May 8th, May 9th, May 10th. And I have given little glimpses of, I've let you know that we do have an L here at Peek Around the Corner in regards to that information we provided. But I'm not going to get any more into that, because then that opens up a whole nother can of worms. See, I don't understand this. Swam, Greg, McIver 3, gonna eat crow. I don't understand that. I don't understand that comment. You're welcome to that comment, but I don't understand that comment. The Pac-12 may live. It may live. We got to see the deal. We've said over and over again, the Pac-12 schools do not want to leave each other, but we believe they will get poached because the deal won't be good enough. Anyways, but you have the freedom to make that comment. Okay. Iowa has 3 protected rivals, more than anybody else in the Big Ten. So it looks like Minnesota only has Iowa and Wisconsin. Troll grinding cheek clapper wasn't sure on vetoes. As U.S. fan, I'm good as long as really fighting Irish versus Trojans, formerly known as the Fighting Methodists, continue. Notre Dame and Big Ten or not. I hope the Notre Dame USC continues. I hope that rivalry continues, even if Notre Dame does not get into the Big Ten. But USC's schedule, troll grinding cheek clapper, has gotten so much more difficult. And that's nothing against the Pac-12. Pac-12 has had great years, great teams. It's going to have a great year this year. A lot of great quarterbacks. It's just difficult. It's more of a grind. It's a physical grind in the Big Ten. But it's going to be fun. USC, I think the USC fans are going to embrace it at some point. It took a while for the Cornhuskers fans to embrace it, but I think they have for the most part. Okay, let's get to, real quick here. Thanks again for the super chat. I appreciate it. Troll grinding cheek clapper. Before we get to your phone calls, talking about the Big Ten schedule for 2024-2025, talking about the protected rivals, Colorado, the border regions canceling the June 9th meeting. What do you think that's all about? Let's get to this real quick. Jack Swarbrick to step down as Notre Dame athletic director. NBC Sports chair Pete Bavacqua tabbed as a replacement. Swarbrick has overseen the Notre Dame athletic department since 2008. Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swarbrick will step down from his role in 2024, the university announced Thursday. He will be replaced by NBC Sports Group chairman and Notre Dame alumnus Pete Bavacqua. given the athletic department a new boss for the first time since 2008. The transition will be finalized sometime in the first quarter of next year. Bavakwa, 1993 graduate, joins the athletic department in July as a special assistant for athletics to Notre Dame President Reverend John Jenkins. There he will work hand in hand with Swarbrick, learning the ropes of his new position until the transition is complete. So if you can see, Jack Swarbrick is stepping down from his role, but he's not, at this point, retiring, right? He's not retiring. He's just stepping down from his role. This is an unbelievable honor for me and a dream come true with the exception of my family. Nothing means more to me than the University of Notre Dame, Bavakwa said in a statement. As a Notre Dame alum, I have a keen understanding and deep appreciation of the lifetime transformational benefit our student athletes receive in a Notre Dame education, one that is unique and unlike any other institution in the world. I am so grateful to Notre Dame President Reverend John Jenkins, the Board of Trustees, and of course, Jack Swarbrick. Jack Swarbrick will leave a position he's held for 15 years. Goes on to talk about more of Swarbrick. And here's the money shot, PATC money shot, Notre Dame's football future as an independent. Bavakwa joins Notre Dame after spending the past half-decade at NBC Sports. He served as president of the organization before he was promoted to chairman in 2020. He was heavily involved in the network's new media rights deal with the Big Ten. The new 7-year agreement makes NBC and Peacock as the exclusive home of Big Ten Saturday Night Football. He spent the previous 6 years as the CEO of the PGA of America, where he secured extensions with his NBC Sports for events including the Ryder Cup and the Senior PGA Championship. So, Bavakwa, alumni of Notre Dame, CEO of PGA of America. He secured extensions with NBC Sports for events. He's worked for NBC Sports. He was heavily involved in the network's new media rights deal for the Big Ten. So let me know what you think about that. Why? What was the number one reason Notre Dame went and got Bavakwa? Was it to secure the bag? Was it to make sure, give them the best opportunity to get a contract, a TV contract with NBC? Is Bavakwa sort of like Big Ten's Petiti? Petiti comes from basically the same space. Is this why? Is this what's going on? Troll Grinding Cleat Clapper, once again, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate your generosity to the show. It's more difficult, but I hope Southern California continues to play Notre Dame. USC fans consider Notre Dame our main rival over UCLA, aka University of completely lost, I'll just say, souls. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Yeah, great for Trojan. I think they nailed it with protected rivals. No point in forcing something that is not there. I agree with you, Grateful Trojan. Very good point. Very good point. Chris says Notre Dame will stay independent because NBC isn't guaranteed to have the Big Ten in the next round or even 20 years. Even if they did, they wouldn't be able to cover all the Notre Dame home games. Tomorrow, T-Duck, tomorrow, Colorado votes to sign Gore with the Pack. You cannot sign a grant of rights if you do not know what the immediate deal is. Why would anybody sign a grant of rights if they don't know what the immediate deal is? Or are you saying that Colorado and the other Pac-12 schools know what the immediate deal is? And you know what? When you get the immediate deal in front of you, you don't say yes in 10 seconds. You're seeing hard numbers for the first time. Big Ten presidents didn't do that. Big Ten presidents weren't just given this document from Kevin Warren and said, okay, good. They signed off on it. They had to hash it out. There wasn't very good communication, but there was some between the presidents and Kevin Warren. So no one is signing the grant of rights without the immediate deal. They had a verbal agreement about what the grant of rights would entail, that there would be revenue sharing for performance in regards to football, but not basketball performance. Hello, Arizona. Hello, Arizona. That can't sit well with Arizona. Arizona's not going to make more money from their performance in basketball. But yet some schools like Oregon will make more money in performance in football. How does that make you feel, Arizona? That's the verbal agreement. No one has even signed no one is going to sign a grant of rights without immediate deal. I mean, that's not even possible. Again, a lot of stuff being said that just there's just no reality base to it at all. Richard L says Colorado probably has been told by Yormark to hold off until Arizona is ready to jump. I don't think so. I don't think that's part of it. I understand people speculating about it. You could be right. I don't think that's the case, because we have heard this whole time that Colorado it's not contingent on anything else happening. That's why we've had Colorado at the center of the stage and nobody else. This is the information we've consistently received week in, week out. That's why we've given you the information that we have. However, we could be taking an L. Richard L might be correct. We just don't think that's the case. Gary says NBC wants Notre Dame in the Big Ten. Imagine the home and away games they would have access to. Steven says, looks like Notre Dame will stay independent. I will say this. I know there's people jumping on both sides of this, right? Notre Dame hiring someone from NBC. This is a definite, and Bavakwa, like everybody else, whoever take the Notre Dame job at this point, says he's a fan of Notre Dame being independent in football. Some people are saying this is a sign that Notre Dame is staying independent, no question about it. Some people are taking it as Notre Dame, no question about it, going to the Big Ten. We're not taking a strong position either way at Peek Around the Corner based on the hiring of Bavakwa. We believe, of course, down the road Notre Dame's going to have to make a decision to join the conference, because things are going to continue to change on them. I will say this. Logically, if Notre Dame was really, really confident, they were told some really good information by NBC. They had a number. NBC looks like they're going to give that number. If they were totally confident that they were going to get that deal, that they were going to get the exposure they need on NBC and the money. Now, Notre Dame gets great exposure with NBC. Other potential media partners for Notre Dame, they can't really give Notre Dame that exposure like NBC can, because the other potential media partners, the big ones, already have their windows filled, guaranteed, tied up with other conferences, especially SEC and the Big Ten. So if Notre Dame was really confident and that they were going to get their bag of cash that they need with NBC, if they were going to make that deal get done, and they were going to continue to be independent in football, why would they hire somebody from NBC? That's how I'm looking at it. If you were confident, if you knew this was going to happen, if you felt good about this. Now, flip the coin. Let's say Notre Dame really hasn't gotten the reaction, the interest that they perceived. They haven't gotten what they wanted yet from Notre Dame in communication, in guarantees, in regards to the next media contract after 2025. If they weren't confident, then I think a candidate from NBC would make more sense. And then they went and hired him. That's how I'm looking at it. But I'm not taking the extreme position either way on the hiring of Bavakwa right now as of today. We want to talk to people. We want to feel what people are saying. But that just logically, from my standpoint, if Notre Dame, forget NBC, because NBC is a media company. One of the guys got hired. You can't look at it from NBC's perspective. You got to look at it from Notre Dame's perspective. Why did they go hire an NBC guy? Because they were really confident it was going to happen with NBC? Or is it on the edge and they want to increase their chances of getting that NBC contract? So we better go with the guy who's really worked with NBC contracts. This is the guy, Bavakwa, who was heavily involved in the Big Ten and the NBC getting together. That's how I look at it. Let me know in the comment section and the phone calls that we're going to be opening up here in a couple minutes. Let me know what you think about the Bavakwa hire. But we had to hit that story as well. Monavision hates this flex rival crap. Jason says the only way Notre Dame joins the Big Ten is if the Big Ten agrees to keep NBC as a media partner for 50 years. Is Notre Dame really attached to NBC like they're attached to being an independent? Notre Dame's going to go where the exposure is and where the money is. It just so happens that NBC is the one media company that offers them both at this time. ESPN cannot offer them the exposure. Right? Neither can Fox. NBC can. Okay, let's get to your phone calls. There is so much to talk about. We have Colorado canceling the June 9th meeting. Let me know what your thoughts on it. We believe they're kicking the can down the road for at least a few more days, at least another week. Let me know what you think about Notre Dame, Jack Swarbrick stepping down, and of course the Big Ten scheduling that came out for 2024, 2025. The phone number is 763-260-1333 for PATC live show. I'm going to check my notes. You guys give us a call. We'll keep going on the comments. Tony says, Greg, Minnesota playing Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, both years. I don't know. I'm going to have to take a look at that. Illabach believes the Pac-12 deal is close enough for Colorado to wait another week. That could be playing a part in it. I will tell you honestly, though, we at Peek Around the Corner, we're just not getting that. People have been telling us the opposite, that they don't know what the deal is going to look like. They don't see it. But maybe we're wrong, and maybe the deal will be available next week. I mean, obviously, they've got to show something. They have to show something.
Douglas Hall.
Douglas, is this you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling.
Thanks for taking the call. I'm wondering, and I have no inside information or anything like this, I'm wondering if these schools are getting played by Kliavkoff. And he's running the old North Carolina four corners offense, hoping not to dribble.
Dean Smith, four corners offense. Yep.
And then they'll be forced into signing a deal because it'll be the last minute and they have no options. That'll leave a lot of schools mad, but in the meantime, Kliavkoff rides off into the sunset, maybe with the bonus, and he walks around saying, "Hey, I'm the guy that saved the Big Ten."
Yeah. I'm getting good comments here while you're talking, and I think what happened is the Pac-12 presidents, I think they're putting pressure on George Kliavkoff. Like saying, we need to see a deal now because, hint, hint, we got something lined up. I mean, I think they're putting pressure on Kliavkoff. I think that's where the smoke is coming from.
Yeah.
Because
hey,
they put a...
thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
One last thing.
Yeah.
You never clarified the rules for cloak and dagger. Every time you say it, I drink a shot and a beer. And then you say it a second time, I drink 2 shots and 2 beers. And 3... So half the time, I don't know what your show is about, but boy, I'm having a good time.
Good. Well, here's the rules. Can you look at the screen right now? Can you look? Are you watching? Okay, these are the rules. Drink whenever Greg says cloak and dagger. It only counts when Greg says it. Have fun and drink responsibly. So in other words, you have your own rules on how much... what you're drinking, be it coffee, whiskey, tequila, and how much you want to drink it every time I say cloak and dagger. Is that
Great.
fair?
Hey, thanks. Yep, thanks for taking my call. And hey, give your dad a hug.
Yeah,
I lost my dad when he was 64, and I miss him every day.
Got it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. Great call. Okay, Motivision was kind enough to me once again to show me the list of the protected under the new Flex Protect Plus scheduling model. Schools have 2 play opponents that will be played both home and away for 2024-2025, including protected opponents that will be played annually beyond the 2025 season.
Call from
Eric calling.
Eric, can you hold on a second? Eric? Hello?
Hey, this is Eric.
Yeah, can you hold a second?
Absolutely, no problem.
God, this is, I'm going to read it again. Under the new Flex Protect Plus scheduling model, schools have 2 play opponents that will be played both home and away for 2024-2025, including protected opponents that will be played annually beyond the 2025 season. Oh, brother. Yeah, I don't like this at all. So, in other words, you have your protected rivalries, and then you have 2 other opponents that you're going to play home and away, flip them for 2024, 2025. First of all, before I read the protected rivals, I'm just going to read off the protected rivals of each school. This sounds like, you know what this sounds like? It sounds like the Big Ten did not they wanted complete flexibility in regards to 2026, like what the composition of the conference is going to look like. They made these decisions, this format is for 2024 and 2025. Anyways, I don't want to get in the deep weeds on that on this show. Illinois, protected rivals is Northwestern, Purdue. Michigan is Michigan State, Ohio State. These are your protected permanent rivals. Northwestern is Illinois. Rutgers is Maryland, so they both only have one. Indiana's just Purdue. They only have one. Michigan State's Michigan. They only have one. Ohio State is Michigan. Ohio State only has one permanent rival. USC has USC, just one. Iowa has three of them. Minnesota, Nebraska, Wisconsin. Minnesota has two protected rivals. Iowa, Wisconsin, which I'm good with. Penn State has no protected rivals. They're the one school that doesn't have any rivals, protected rivalries, permanent rivals. Southern California just has one, UCLA. Maryland just has one, Rutgers. Nebraska just has one, Iowa. Purdue has Illinois, Indiana. Wisconsin has Iowa, Minnesota. I have no problems with that. I'm good with those protected rivals. It makes a lot of sense. But go ahead, Eric. Thanks for holding on. I appreciate it. The floor is yours.
Hey, Greg, how's it going, man?
Good. Doing real good.
Best wishes to you and the little general. I'm sitting here with me. Rolentry is sitting here with me. She's listening as well. She says hi as well. So.
Yep. Thank you. Say hi to her for me.
A couple of questions I have, and bear with me because I missed the last. I went back and watched them, of course, but I missed the last couple live shows because of schedule conflicts where I wasn't able to ask you a couple of questions. So if this has been asked, and I apologize for going off topic just a little bit, but with this meeting that's coming up with Colorado tomorrow, I wonder if you might be able to confirm something. My understanding is with public meetings, the notification rules are a little different, and especially if it's coming through a public feed, they don't necessarily have to give 24 hours notice. Is that your understanding? Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been told that here recently. They don't have to give a 24-hour notice on public meetings.
Do you expect that the meeting is still going forward, or do you think it's been canceled? Or
it's been canceled. It's been canceled. We showed that here. There it is on your screen. June 9th canceled, special board meeting. It's on your screen.
Okay. Does that make you think that expansion with Colorado is not going to happen?
No. We believe Colorado just kicked the can down the road. They kicked the can down the road. Maybe it's because they're given an opportunity for the Pac-12 to present a deal. Maybe internally Colorado would find it easier to actually have that deal in front of them, the Pac-12, to move to the Big 12. We believe this they kicked the can down the road just a little bit longer. That's what we think at Peek Around the Corner. We are not 100% sure this June 9th meeting was about realignment. But we're pretty good. We're pretty locked in on the June 6th meeting was about realignment. We haven't gotten it confirmed that this June 9th meeting was about realignment.
Do you think it may be possible if it was about that and it was canceled, it's because they're finally getting movement on an actual deal that's about to be presented to them, and they just want to take a look at it, even though they're pretty sure it's not going to be a very good deal?
Maybe, but again, we at Peek Around the Corner, from the people we talk to, they're just throwing their hands up in the air and they say, we don't know what this deal is going to look like. So there is no real good leaks coming out from any of these media companies. So if George Kliavkoff might be playing some cloak and dagger here, because if he does have a deal and the deal's good enough to keep all the schools together, he's done a real good job cloaking it, because everyone we talk to has no idea what that deal would look like right now, because according to what people have told us, a lot of these media companies are out, or they've completely lowballed the Pac-12 to the point where George Kliavkoff couldn't even present those numbers to the Pac-12 presidents. So maybe Kliavkoff is doing a great job of cloaking this deal. We're going to find out here real soon.
And I wonder if you saw yesterday, Jason Scheer tweeted out 3 times the CW logo. So I was wondering if he knew something about that, or if you heard anything about the CW.
We haven't heard that independently at Peek Around the Corner. I did see that. People brought that up to me. I think people should pay attention to what Jason Scheer is saying. The CW, is that the one linear partner they have? Is it going to be CW and Apple TV? I don't know. It's a pretty scary, if that's what their main, again, the CW, we believe the CW is a better option than a lot of other options out there for the Pac-12. But is the CW going to play their tier 1 games, the top level, the most valuable content that the Pac-12 can provide? A media company, is the CW going to be the one that distributes that content? That is scary. That is very, very scary. And we think Apple TV, I've said this, Pac-12 needs ESPN in this deal, but ESPN is just not willing to pay the money. So all this plays into the reasons why we think Colorado is taking the Big 12 option very, very seriously, to the point where there's been a lot of different events going on in the month of May regards to Colorado and possible realignment.
And I know the CW, 2 things about the CW, a lot of their channels are regional. They're not even in every state in the Pac. And from what I've read, they've lost a lot of money the last couple of years. They made quite a bit of money, but they spend even more. I think they lost like $400 million. So I don't see it as a really great option either. But sometimes beggars can't be choosers. You got to take what you can. To be honest with you got to take what you can get. I had one question about the scheduling with the Big Ten, and I disagree with the people that are saying this, and I think you probably will too. They are taking this as some kind of proof that the fact that they're coming out with this schedule, they're taking it as some kind of proof that the Big Ten is not interested or is not going to add Oregon or Washington for 5-6 years. I don't think that that's proof of that. Would you agree?
I think it makes it more difficult, way more difficult for Oregon and Washington to get into the Big Ten here in short order. I really do believe, yes, because a lot of work went into this, a lot of onboarding. I mean, they've had to do a lot of work. And at some point, they made a decision to release this schedule for 2024, 2025. I think it makes it way more difficult for Oregon and Washington to get into the Big Ten Conference before 2026. I'm not going to completely cancel it out, primarily because Oregon and Washington hasn't signed any Pac-12 media deal. There's nothing for them to sign yet. And I know the interests, we've been told the interests that the Big Ten has at both those universities. So I'm not going to completely cancel it out. But yes, it does make it more difficult. No question about it. For Oregon and Washington to get into the Big Ten.
I do think it makes it more difficult before 2026, but some of these folks were saying that means they won't even be considered until like 2030, and I don't think that's the case necessarily.
Yeah, I would 2030, I think, there's Big Ten is going to hold strong interest in Oregon and Washington. And as we've said, there are some hurdles still left in the way. But Oregon and Washington are going to keep swinging. And we'll see what Oregon and Washington does here. If the door for the expansion door is closed for 2024, 2025, what will Oregon and Washington do via the Pac-12 media deal? They gotta get some sort of media deal, so we'll see.
I think they might, and I know this is a long shot, but I could even see them jumping to the Big 12 temporarily with a real liberal grant of rights, real liberal grant of rights, and then just wait it out and see what happens with the Big Ten. What do you think about that?
It could be. I know there's we know there's real strong resistance to Big 12 from a certain member of the Board of Regents at University of Washington. So it could be. I think it's a long shot. But I don't know. I mean, again, we're focused on Colorado here because so many things will splinter off of this decision that Colorado makes.
I'm talking if the PAC deal is a real low ball number, say it's 18, 19 million. They can't live on that even for a few years, so that's why I was thinking they might consider it if they could get 30 something the other way. But like I say, who really knows?
Yeah.
Hey, I've watched the material you've been putting out. Your not your live short, but your short tapes, Greg. They've been great. You've been being a work, and we really appreciate the work that you and the little general put out. We really enjoy it. I encourage everybody, man. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe because you get those notices quick, and you get to see a lot of content that you won't know about otherwise. And you're doing a great job. And me and Ro both love the show. So you guys have a blessed day, and we'll just see how it all plays out. Thank you for letting me call and be part of your show.
Appreciate it. Great call. Thank you, Eric, for those kind words. Thank you.
You have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Call from
Western Civic.
Western Civic is... Hello, Western Civic. I did not hang up. I did not hang up. Call again. Hello?
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas. Western Civic, if you can hear me, we did not hang up on you. PATC. I think something happened on your end. Go ahead, Ryan Thomas. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think anyone could possibly confuse me with Western Civic, but
Yeah.
anyway, Greg, I appreciate everything that you're doing, as always. I want to point out to people just a couple things to be mindful of. First of all, national media people like Dellinger and Thamel have said that Colorado and the Big 12 had talks, okay? Now, that's a reality. To say that that's a lie is kind of denying reality.
Yeah.
Second of all, at the end of the day, you still need a Pac-12 media deal. And every single school in the Pac-12 is going to be talking to somebody as a backup plan if they can't get a media deal. And that's just common sense due diligence. And the problem is they've been getting projections that were basically prepared based on valuations, but someone has to pay that. And President Robbins said yesterday we haven't seen any numbers. Now, I think probably if anything happened with Colorado yesterday, you have to remember that these presidents and chancellors, their initial poll, yes, they absolutely have the affinity and the pull and the relationships and the preference for people who are similar to them and kind of their academic viewpoint. That's absolutely true. But the thing is the Colorado president and Board of Regents and Chancellor can't go to the faculty saying, hey, we just jumped because we didn't get anything, because most people are going to say, well, why didn't you wait for something to come and make that evaluation? I mean, there has to be a degree of political cover for these presidents.
And that could be what just happened, but we don't know, right?
Yeah, and I'm speculating, Greg. I mean, I have no sources. I'm just spitballing, and I mean, people can, take it or leave it. I'm just trying to kind of, hypothesize here, and a lot of times I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm like a squirrel and I find a nut. Yeah. But I mean, look, people need to realize that there is a deadline for the Pac-12 TV deadline. It's not just a San Diego State issue. The issue is if the school is going to bail, the Pac-12, that school has got to give the Big 12 enough notice if they're going to come in at 2024, because they have to have time to prep for onboarding for those members, with scheduling and logistics. And, and the latest I've seen that ever happen was when West Virginia went to the Big 12 in October. But the issue is you can't wait till January 30th, 2024 to make a decision. You can't. And the other problem people need to realize too, and Bob Thompson said this, he said that the shorter the period, the less money that will be offered. The longer the period, the more money that will be offered.
Yep.
And here's the thing. No new partner is going to give you a 3-year deal. No new partner is going to give you a 3 to 4 year deal. They're not going to give you a 5-year deal. That's just ludicrous, because the whole thing is the common mistake every single Pac-12 apologist makes is they never stop to consider what is in it for the potential media partner. You can't just use and manipulate people. I mean, business and contracts are all about good faith efforts between parties where there's a mutual beneficial result. I mean, it's not about taking advantage of people. And, and if you do, like the CBS did to the SEC, well, you saw what happened to CBS because of that. I mean, the SEC told them to pound sand after that contract expired. And, the whole thing is people need to remember that I don't see Apple or CW getting involved in something that's just going to be around for 3 or 4 or 5 years. I mean, if they're getting into if I'm Apple, I partnered with Fox before, and I've worked with Disney before. If I'm Apple, I would rather than just contract the league, I would rather just do a contract or an agreement or a partnership with Fox to help stream content and basically be Fox's streaming arm for the NFL and baseball and what other sports that Fox carries. You get a broader appeal, broader national audience, and it's probably less risky, and it works for you. I mean, but the whole thing is nobody's going to sit there and do this for a short-term deal. And at the end of the day, if that's the case, no one's going to give you a 1-year extension. I mean, if that's the case, going back to my point, you got to leave in enough time to give whoever you're going to some notice to make adjustments to the schedules, because there are sports that start in July. Like BYU starts in the Big 12 July 1st, and, it will be playing, soccer games, women's soccer games and things like that starting in that period. And the reality is they have to do scheduling, and you got to give that league, the incoming league, plenty of notice to do that. And if you have to wait a year, no one's going to give you a 1-year TV deal. So the question is what, you're going to be out of sight, out of mind, and no money for 1 year. I mean, you can't screw around with this. And I think the whole issue is Oregon and Washington, maybe if they were to join the Big 12, and maybe let's say they have to come in 2025, that I'm sure that Oregon and Washington could probably cobble something together. They're big enough brands that there's lots of, it would be kind of a crappy schedule in that interim, but I'm sure that they could cobble together a 1-year independent season if they had to. But the rest of the members of the Pac-12, like Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah, couldn't do that. And I think that, this is coming to a head. I think it will come to a head. But I would say is George Kliavkoff, he hasn't been able to get a deal because he hasn't got anything worth presenting. And sooner or later, he's got to be honest with these presidents. And he's got to lay something down to them and just tell them the reality is he's doing right now he's stalling and hoping for a miracle. And that's a disservice to everybody. It's a disservice to the fans of the schools. It's a disservice to the presidents, the coaches, students, the faculty. It's a disservice. Just be honest, lay your cards on the table, and let people resolve things and move forward. I mean, I'm so sick and tired of his childish behavior between his back-of-the-envelope calculations, and I'm so sick and tired of, people like Panzano suggesting ridiculous things that UCLA is going to come back to the Pac-12 in 2030. I mean, is he being hotboxed? I mean, that's just kind of ridiculous. I mean, all I can say is it's just annoying, and there's people that want to sit there and tell you you're going to eat crow or dunk on you. They still have to acknowledge the single reality that by the own admission of Utah's president, of Arizona's AD, Arizona's president, Arizona State's AD, and Colorado's AD, all of them have said that they're nowhere close to a TV deal. So that's still your problem, and at the end of the day, you may love each other, you may love your academic affiliations, you may have to answer to people, but the one thing you can't do is go a season without a media deal. And that's the existential issue right there. Yeah. People need to consider that. And you can rail on the Big 12 all you want. You can call it a Trek Stop conference. You can say all that, despite the fact that those Big 12 schools offer PhDs and do research and academic research of their own. They're every bit as academic as everybody else. I mean, you can thumb your nose up at them, but the reality is, at the end of the day, bills have to be paid, and research grants can't fund academics. And those can't fund athletics, and those athletics are the front door that recruit students that come into your university and do all these great things. So you got to deal with it, and that's the reality. And you can say nasty things all you want, but the thing is I'd be very cautious on your victory lap, because you shouldn't really celebrate what you think is somehow if I think it's funny that they want to rail on people that you have to eat crow because the Colorado meeting was canceled, but these same people said that they were never talking. So what if that's your belief, then why does the canceling the meeting have something to say bad about us? Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. But Greg, great job on the show. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day, everyone. Take care.
You too. Great call.
Call from
Western Civic.
Western Civic, can you hold 1 second, please?
Yes.
Opie, thank you for your super chat. What the heck is with the PAC and its members? They have an epidemic of kicking the can down the road. They must have something to look at from an old George Kleekoff and the board. Maybe.
Good to hear from you, Opie.
Maybe you're right, Opie. Maybe they have actually something to look at. Everyone looks at the only part of this story being fascinating if there is realignment. Now we here at Peek Around the Corner believe that the Pac-12 will get poached because we don't think there's a TV deal there for them to stay all together. We've been saying this since February 24th. But let's say the Pac-12 holds. Let's say Western Civic is absolutely correct and others that the Pac-12 holds their 10 current schools and possibly expands. We also think this is a fascinating story. Because what type of deal is this going to look? What is it? What's the deal? And how is it going to look? And how is it going to play out for the next 3, 4, 5 years in this new era of college football? So either way, it's fascinating. Western Civic, thank you so much for holding. The floor is yours, good sir.
Thank you. Good info, Greg. It's always been good info. I just think you misvalued it a little bit.
Okay.
Look, by the way, the Zubies, and that reminds me, that's the main thing, okay, let me talk about before I get to the main thing about self-immolation, which I talked about last time. Let's get through some of the basics here. I think, Greg really appreciates, there's no doubt that ESPN, is going to have this third conference and wants to see this push made. My goodness, they hired Coach Prime. It's going to get all the eyeballs. They'd love to bring it in the house. But it was always an uphill pitch, man. Always was. To bring what Colorado can claim? They have this thing where they literally claim, I wonder if there's any other institution, probably not. To the degree we can believe NASA about anything anyway, they apparently say that something created at the University of Colorado Boulder now sits on every major rock in the solar system. That includes all the planets and all the major moons thereof. So, to bring a school like that into the truck stop conference. The Big Lummock was always an uphill battle.
Didn't you just say in your last call that you know what? I'm not going to go down there. Go ahead, Western Civic. Sorry to interrupt you.
Did I repeat myself? If I repeated myself, I apologize. Sometimes I do.
Well, you were sort of ripping on Colorado the last time you called, so I'm just trying to.
Yeah. Well, I would rip on them if they made the move, but they haven't made the move.
Okay.
I would definitely rip on them if they made the move because it doesn't make any sense. And here's I said there had to be something else. Remember, I was like, Greg, what is it?
You did.
What is this something else?
Why do you think they canceled the meeting tomorrow?
Because there is no longer any something else, it looks like. The other something else would have been something out of California, like something out of the University of California. To separate from the University of California is an unbelievable effort. I mean, crazy to try and do it that way unless there's some reason, like Cal says we're dropping football and nobody knows that yet. Or more likely what we've been talking about is, someone's going to the Big. Boy, it looks like they're not now, Greg. I mean, wow, I think it's super unlikely that they would release the schedule for 20. I mean, people make plans on that stuff, Greg.
Yep. No, I agree.
So I think that's it. It's as simple as that. The other thing, which was, hey, someone's jumping to the Big, is not happening this year. And that means, Greg, even if this deal is shit, excuse me.
Yeah.
You're not going to break away from these schools because the group together is worth something to somebody. As much as the big powers that be really want to get these East-West conferences going, it looks like they were unable to convince the big presidents to do it this year. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
They were unable to get what presidents?
The Big Ten presidents to pull the trigger this year.
Well, I think because there's... Yeah, well, first of all, there's a timing issue. There's a legal issue.
And there's a USC issue.
Well, you can believe that. We don't think there is a USC issue. They don't have a veto pen.
I think there is. No, I really do.
Well, go ahead. That's fine. We just don't. But go ahead.
All right, I'll do this and I'll get to the main thing.
Yeah.
I do. As a Pac fan, there really is a USC Oregon thing. And I think that USC really did want to, hey, look, we got here first. We want at least a year or two or something, to let everybody in the South, in Southern California know there's only one way to the Big Ten from Southern California, and to establish a little distance. And also, and I got to say it, I love my Ducks, but some of that COVID behavior was way out, man. Like the worst. So let's get to the main thing. I talked about if Colorado was to do that, that would be the biggest self-immolation since Tulane left the SEC. Well, I left one thing out. Okay, there's been a self-immolation since. And I really hope that this doesn't end up costing college football our traditions and so forth, because you can see the material damage from this decision. It's all of this. It's what made this madness of Colorado going back to the Big 12 and putting Utah scared and the possibility of all that, because there was other self-immolation that already took place. When Utah and Colorado joined the Pac, BYU made a very tough decision. It was very difficult. And much like how Utah struggled in the Pac initially, BYU struggled initially as an independent with some horrible scheduling and horrible schedules. But you know what? Last year, they beat Utah in the first the year that they won their first Pac title. And their last year of independence was a monster schedule. It was awesome. And they finally figured it out. It's not easy. You got to get into this stuff. It takes years under your belt doing that kind of scheduling. And their front office, Tom Holmoe, and yes, Butthead is cackling somewhere. I don't know what. They just gave up because independent scheduling was too hard. Okay? They had it going on. They could have been the Notre Dame of the West if they would have stuck with it, but they sold out because it was too hard. And they went to, no, seriously, this is it, Greg. And because of that, because they felt the self-immolation of BYU as an independent, which had finally reached its grandeur, they played a monster schedule, and they could have forward. And now they're going to have to rebuild that again because they were too hard. They could be a leading independent, a shining light in what we need to be moving forward as Notre Dame is now left alone out there. And if we lose Notre Dame independence, we really run the risk of becoming a new NFL, and nobody wants that. So BYU, shame on you for your self-immolation. You were the first. You're the one that's put the whole Lower Rocky Mountain region at risk because they're trying to find you a partner because you cowered out.
Okay, all right.
So there you go. Hey, Greg.
No more war.
No war, Greg. No war.
Thank you for the call. Not your best effort when you got through a little bit too many elbows there in your adjectives. Anyways, thank you, Tro Grinding Cheek Clapper. Penn State whiteout and USC in red will look like Ohio State fans. Thanks again for your super chat. Appreciate your generosity. Yeah. It's going to be great. It's going to be wild. Nathan, no, Amazon was not involved in those talks on May 7th. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate your generosity to the show.
Call from
Moen Vision.
Moen Vision, can you hold a second?
Yeah, go ahead and catch up on your super chats.
Well, no, I did already, but I want to be selfish here. The Minnesota Golden Gophers 2025 schedule. Away, they play Illinois, Iowa, Penn State, Purdue. At home, at Huntington Bank Stadium. Maryland, Michigan State, Nebraska, Wisconsin, USC. Bring USC to Huntington Bank Stadium, second week in November. Bring them. Bring the Trojans, Gophers. At nighttime, NBC, let the snow fall. Let's get it done. Monovision, the floor is yours, good sir. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how Riley coaches that one. Find out that it's not that easy to run that kind of offense in the snow. You got to rely on an offensive line and some running backs.
Yeah.
But let's try and get through here quickly. I want to let other people get their calls in and their thoughts out. Colorado kicked the can down the road. I believe that's due to somebody begging them to kick that can down the road. My guess is several, particularly Oregon State and Washington State. And it reminds me, I don't know if anybody watches South Park out there, but there was that episode with Game of Thrones where the guy was always telling them, "Oh, the dragons are coming, the dragons are coming." Well, this is the deal's coming, the deal's coming. Nobody signs deals in December, and now we're in June.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully Colorado gave them a deadline and said, we need to know, it needs to be guaranteed by X so we can figure out what we're doing. After that, I do think Oregon and Washington are probably out for Big Ten expansion in 2024. They wouldn't have released this schedule if they thought that was a possibility. And
it was always going to be difficult, right? We said Oregon and Washington in 5 months or in 5 years. But yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into all this stuff. So I think it's almost impossible.
But if you're going to schedule, if we're scheduling the next 2 seasons, I wouldn't look for Oregon. I wouldn't look for anybody to be an expansion candidate in 2024. Now, in 2025 and 2026, Notre Dame, their deal is running out with NBC. They got a new guy in there. But we know old Jack was very anti-joining a conference, very against it.
Yeah.
And before he could even, and you know, he's put out there this $75 million deal with NBC.
Yeah.
which isn't going to happen.
I
There's
agree.
not enough value in 7 games to give them $75 million. I understand Notre Dame's a valuable brand, but I don't think there's any brand in college football that would warrant that, not even Ohio State. So I think they brought in this young guy, well-versed in the media. I mean, like you mentioned, he crafted the Big Ten media deal with NBC.
Yep.
So, and I'm sure he's crafted several of the deals with Notre Dame in his time there at NBC, because he's been there quite a few years. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. But I think even if Colorado and Arizona jumped to the Big 12, which I still think is a possibility, I could see the Pac-12 just backfilling with San Diego State and Colorado State, calling it a day. At best, I think they're going to get a 3-year deal with an option.
Yeah.
A 3-year deal with another 2-year option.
Wow.
I don't see Washington and Oregon signing a grant of rights that's going to lock them in past 3 seasons.
Yeah.
They just can't afford to.
Yeah.
And
What
I know Ryan earlier mentioned them going to the Big 12, but I don't think that's a possibility for them.
What did you think of my? I'm not taking the either extreme take on the hiring of this Bavakwa, whatever his name is, the NBC guy, or what. It just seems to me, I'm just speculating here, but if Notre Dame was real sure and positive and confident that a deal was going to come from NBC, they wouldn't. I think the chances would be less that they would get a candidate that worked at NBC. You know what I'm saying? If they were on the edge, if Notre Dame wasn't sure, if they didn't like what they were hearing from NBC, then you would focus on possibly a candidate that works at NBC. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right. And the other thing, too, is, Greg, we don't know the full story of what is going on behind the scenes at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people against it. If you remember when they missed on that offensive coordinator from Utah because they couldn't afford him.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people coming out of the woodwork against Jack Swarbrick. I don't know if between that and this ongoing NBC media negotiation, the money people at Notre Dame may have lost faith in Jack and said, hey, it's time to move on. You can either retire or we can, force you out. And maybe he's choosing the approach to retire, set that date in the future, let this new guy get things sorted out with the new media deal or integrating into the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But, we know Jack was against joining any conference. We don't know. This guy is an unknown variable.
Well, he has said that he wants, that being independent is part of Notre Dame's fabric, whatever. He said something like that. And I think anyone they would hire would say that. Else they wouldn't be hired. So.
Right. But he's saying that as an NBC executive that has a contract with Notre Dame. Once he actually takes up the reins of the athletic director, that viewpoint might change. And then the last thing, I hate the new scheduling system in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I hate it. Ohio State everybody should have 3 rivals. There should be 3 protected rivals. And I know you're going to get some rivalries in there that don't make sense, but so what? Ohio State should be playing Penn State every year. Ohio State should be playing Michigan every year. Ohio State should be playing Illinois every year. This flex protected rival crap. This is trying to make everybody happy, and what's going to happen is nobody's going to be happy.
Well, it's different, that's for sure. We've never seen anything like this, and we've been saying that a lot about college football.
We go divisionless, and we just completely ignore a 3-6-6 model.
Yeah.
It's like you could play everybody in the conference within 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Have your 3 protected rivals. with this new scheduling, it's going to be all over the place.
It is all over the place. Yep.
Like I said, it just seems to me like too many cooks in the kitchen on that one.
Well, it's the only way they could get enough votes to get anything passed, right? Is to do this one. It also looks like a conference that doesn't know what its final composition is going to be for the next generation, right? So.
Right, Immaculate had mentioned that in the chat. Well, this is just short term, but still.
Yeah, this is all short term.
In the short term, we could still play Penn State every year, you know?
Yeah.
The fact that Penn State has no protected rivals makes no sense. There's been a tremendous rivalry between Penn State and Ohio State since they joined the Big Ten. There have been games that, the Big Ten Conference Championship has been decided on Ohio State versus Penn State. It's really disappointing to see that Penn State is no longer a protected rival for the Buckeyes. And I would like to play Illinois every year. I know that's hard for people outside that rivalry to understand.
Yeah.
But to us, that Illy Buck Trophy is important.
Yeah.
And with this new scheduling model, we might get to play Illinois every other year if we're lucky.
Yeah.
But that should be an every year game.
Yeah. And then there's no divisions, okay? No divisions. So 2024, there's going to be 16 teams standing. And, instead of my Minnesota Golden Gophers being one of the top three, the last few years we predicted to be in the top three in the Big Ten West, now it's going to be Minnesota Golden Gophers. Can they finish 8 or 9 or in most years? So we're going to have to readjust our expectations through the teams. Now, the Buckeyes don't, but for some of the schools, we're going to be like, man, so how do we get to the Big Ten championship game? We got to finish first or second in the 16. Woo! But
I wouldn't even go so far as to just assume Ohio State's going to, you're introducing USC into the conference.
Yep.
Lincoln Riley led USC, which was a hair away from playing in the playoffs last year.
Yes, yep.
In his first season as coach. And now he's got Southern California to recruit from. So, that's going to be a huge new dynamic in the Big Ten Conference, how USC works in a conference as a team under Lincoln Riley. Can they hold up in the wintertime in Minnesota?
Yeah.
When there's snow on the ground and you can't go out there whipping the ball for 500 yards.
Yeah.
Like it's the game we played at Northwestern this year. Like, go out there and whip that ball when there's 50-mile-an-hour winds hitting you.
The Buckeyes
and you can't do any passes.
The Buckeyes did have a game. What year was it? It was where you guys came up to Minnesota and beat Minnesota 21-14. Do you remember that game?
Glenn Mason was the coach.
No, it was more recent. It was under Urban Meyer. It was 21-14.
It was a game in the snow, right?
Yeah, it was a game in the snow. It was colder than heck. The Buckeyes are supposed to whoop up on the Gophers like always, and I think it was 21-14. Let me check here. Hold on. I just remember the game was just. Let me check it here. Come on, internet, give me a break. Oh, come on. Hold on. Yeah, I'm not getting.
Yeah, but that's typical for Ohio State. If for some reason we always have one game a year where we just completely forget who we are. Unfortunately, the last 2 years it's been against our rival, but
okay, it was 31. It was 31-24.
Okay.
The Buckeyes were probably favored by about 4 touchdowns, whatever. But it was in the snow, and Urban Meyer after that game said, "Geez, I don't want to come up here again in November." And so that's why we want USC and UCLA to come up here in November. Just get it. Don't wait 10 years to do it. Do it in 2025. USC, get it done. Let's go.
Well, what do you want us to do about it, Greg? We don't control the schedule.
Well,
If Ohio State controlled the schedule, we'd have Penn State and Illinois every year.
all right.
I'll get off here. I want to
Okay.
let other people get on here and get their
Thank you.
opinions
Great
out
call.
there.
Appreciate it.
No future big expansion without Notre Dame.
Got it. Mark Rickard, Colorado meeting trolling George Klikoff to show cards. Brilliant. Thank you so much for your super chat. Appreciate it, Mark, once again.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate, can you hold 1 second?
Of course.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mark, for your super chat. Tro, grinding, cheek clapper. Thank you for your super chat. Once again, sir, let Oregon football die outside the Big Ten. Occasionally good. Stanford and California, a better fit. Plus USC, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, etc. It is tough as it is. Yeah, it's very tough. It's very tough, especially when you are a Minnesota Golden Gopher fan. Immaculate, the floor is yours.
Thank you. When you call into the Around the Corner show, there are certain regular callers you don't want to call after, and there are certain regular callers you do want to call after.
Yeah.
Low Vision is the one you want to call after. Let me tell you, you made this very easy. So I'll just add a couple quick points onto his. The Notre Dame hire, if they were coming down to make a deal with NBC, it would be a weird term of that during the conversation to say, oh, by the way, you mind if we hire this guy away from you? I don't think it has anything to do with that. It has to do with the changing landscape going forward. Look at who is now the commissioner of the Big Ten. This is the
good point.
Conferences and the networks are becoming so intertwined that you have to be able to speak that language. I think Swarbrick is out of his league in this new future. And he probably does not want to be there leading Notre Dame into it. I get that. I don't want to call him a fossil or a dinosaur, but he kind of is. He's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
So an NBC guy, this is who Notre Dame is used to dealing with, are folks at NBC. So if you're going to trust someone to come into this new age to lead your school in this regard, you're probably going to pull someone from the folks that you know, because he's going to have higher ups in there saying, this guy's solid, this guy is sharp, go with him. So that's why I think they got an NBC guy, because that's who they're used to dealing with. And if they're going to work this out between whether they do the ACC or the Big Ten or whatever they do, you kind of need this guy, a guy like this, to do this, not Swarbrick. This is not Swarbrick's forte, I would assume. He's more old school, we're saying independent. So that's my view on that.
Yeah.
As far as Colorado canceling this, I don't know what you think. I kind of feel like they're playing chicken with the pack. Like, all we hear is, oh, there's no deal, and then they pull back on this. Well, they're probably waiting to see the deal. Maybe they assumed they were going to see it this week, and the commissioner is pulling it back and saying, no, I'm not going to show it to you. And so this is probably their big impetus to pull out of the conference. So it's like, as long as he doesn't show it to them by a certain amount of time, they can't really leave this year. And that's got to be a pretty tense situation. I don't think this means they're not coming. I just think it means something didn't happen. They had to cancel all of a sudden. I mean, this is just a 30-minute meeting at the end of the week. Call in, say whatever, and get out. To cancel it means something that they thought was going to happen didn't happen. So, I mean, if folks want to celebrate this as the pack staying together, go right ahead. But if they had a really good deal ready to go and partners that really wanted to go in big with them, it would have already happened. They would have already come out shouting, at the top of their lungs.
And they would have, and to me, they would have leaked something. If you have something positive, if you're trying to keep Colorado, because at this point, come on, they know that Colorado's been taught. George Kliavkoff and the leadership at the Pac-12, they know how close Colorado is from joining the Big 12, even if a bunch of people on Twitter and message boards still haven't figured it out. So if you've got something positive, even if you don't have a folder, just something, you want to leak that out. You have people that you can leak that information to, and yet we see nothing. Absolutely nothing. Go ahead, Immaculate.
And then I kind of referred to that same mechanism earlier with McMurphy. This guy is known for being a leaker. Like that's how he made his phones. That's how he's gone off on his own. Is this guy's got a Rolodex of favors owed to him that are probably thicker than a phone book. He's been doing this game for a long time. So when he comes out and says things that just seem out of the blue, it kind of makes me think, who's asking you to do it? But that doesn't mean that's the case all the time. But that's what I think with Colorado is people who are celebrating this, I say just, okay, go ahead and celebrate it, but you might come to rue that within a week or so. And if I could pontificate for just a second, if you don't mind,
go ahead.
Point out, like I always try and say to folks, you really want to understand what's going on. If you don't want to be blowing in the wind, because you will blow in the wind very quickly here with all the different people saying the different things. You got to understand where this is going. You got to understand the power of the autonomy Power 5 votes, whether Power 5, Power 2, Power 3, whatever you want to call it. It's where this is going because the amount of money. The future might be an expanded national playoff, but it's likely pared down even smaller. They're getting all the numbers that they need from this 2 years, just 2 years. Like, that's crazy. They all the presidents get involved, make an agreement for the national playoff, and it's only for a 2-year agreement.
Yeah.
So they're getting all their statistics.
Yeah.
Because then they can pull it back down into conference tournaments, in my opinion. In order to have conference tournament, you got to change the rules. In order to change the rules, you got to have control of the vote. And once you do that, it's money galore. If people don't realize how much money is there, just go do a comparison of what a conference in college football makes versus what a team makes versus what an NFL team makes on a yearly basis. Now, it's not that they're ever going to get to the NFL, but it's an insanely stark difference in how much they're paid. That's why the networks want to take them there, because the networks don't pay that out cheap. They pay it out because they make that much more in advertising. So the 25-team thing that you heard someone else say, the reason for that is this. If you go 24 teams, you're either 4 divisions or 6 divisions. 4 divisions means you don't get any extra teams from a division into your conference tournament. That means if you want an Ohio State and a Michigan both in it, they have to be in separate divisions. That means no more divisional rivalry. That's bad for your conference network, for your network deal. It makes it go down. So you got to have the ability to have an extra team from each division in there. If you go with 6 and you're going to do, say, 4 divisions, you have 2 extra teams that are your buys. Well, that means you could possibly have a conference championship game that has 2 non-divisional winners in it. And for people who may not realize it, that's bad for branding. That's bad for saying, oh, having a division championship is great. So you really only want 1 bye or 1 wild card to possibly get in to maximize the value of this tournament in the future. So that's why when I come out and I say it's 25 teams, 5 divisions, because it gives you a 6-team conference tournament with 1 wild card. That means if you have an Ohio State and a Michigan that are number 2 and number 3 at the end of the season, you can still get one of those in without having the potential of having no division champions in your. So when people think, well, how can you get that high? It's only because you have the monetization of something like a conference tournament. And you're probably only going to get that if you dial down the national tournament, which they can do in 2026, which is why you have so sharply kind of pointed out as being a big, huge target to get all of this done by. So I still think we're going there.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the presidents want to get together and do another short-term deal on a national tournament to carry over again. So that's all I had. I just wanted people to understand like where that idea comes from. Some people might try to poo on it and say that they got a scoop on it, but it's based upon math, and it's based upon P5 rules coming up in the future. And that's where this is going with realignment. So thank you for letting me kind of
Got it.
illustrate that.
Immaculate, Mr. 25. That's what I'm going to be calling you from now on in.
All right, I appreciate it, man.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, and have a great day.
Appreciate it. Great call. Great call. Tony, Tough Tony says, Greg, Pac-12 owes Comcast $70 million, and that's why your internet is slow. Now, we did an episode on it. We haven't done a live show since that information came out. Does anybody here remember a live show that I put out? That we got steam at Peek Around the Corner, and we basically said it. We advised somebody out there in the Pacific Coast, some reporter, to ask Pac-12 leadership, is it $50 million you owe Comcast, or is it more than $50 million? Is $50 million the exact number? Does anybody remember that? Somebody please put a Y in the chat room. We said it over and over again during the live show because we had some steam, some information given to us that it's not $50 million. It's higher than $50 million. Mark says, why? Thank you so much. Thank you. Someone remembers. Opie said it. Mark, Opie says, yes, sir. Thank you. Someone remembers that. Again, I think we were the only ones out there saying that. And you got to understand, so we're being told that this is a strong possibility, some steam, that it's more than $50 million. And of course, I was trying to advise somebody to hear me, for somebody to ask the Pac-12 leadership. It's just more logs on the fire. More information that we receive saying how Pac-12 is absolutely a mess right now. And we've received information through all this time about how dire it looks for them to get a Pac-12 media deal, a good enough one that gets all 10 Pac-12 presidents to sign on the deal. That's why since February 24th, we said the odds with the Pac-12 was going to get poached again. And then we received all this information, the hot bubble of action. It all had to do with Colorado. And we've given you some more information today. May 7th, a meeting, eye to eye, Big 12, Colorado, in a city in the Midwest. May 24th and May 31st. There were other important dates as well that we talked about later. We keep giving a little bit more information to you all, more details. We can't give it all. But there's a reason why we've been saying all this stuff, because there's been real information given to us. Can George Kliavkoff pull the rabbit out of the hat? Can he get a deal in front of Colorado's chancellor here today, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Got to get something to Colorado. Colorado choose to kick the can down the road. I don't know why. Maybe because they were told they're going to see a deal in front of them real soon. Heard from the Pac-12, George Kliavkoff. I don't know. I'm just speculating on that part. But there's been so much information that we haven't speculated on. And it still looks dire for the Pac-12. And if they can pull the rabbit out of the hat, if they can, this media deal is going to be fascinating to watch, to look under the hood and to watch it all play out in the next 2-3 years to see if it works for these universities, because it's going to be a gamble. For some of those schools, it's going to be a huge gamble. Schools that have an option, a Colorado, an Arizona State, and a Utah, it's a gamble to sign on in that Pac-12 media deal. So, Conundrum says, set the stage today. The stage hasn't been changed. Colorado's in the middle of that stage. Arizona's a couple arm lengths away. Arizona State and Utah sit in the 15th row. UConn sits in the 20th row. There's nobody else in the auditorium. That's your stage. That is your stage. And Oregon, Washington, and the Fox executive, they left in a car. They drove out of the parking lot. Tony Petitti is no longer in the auditorium as well. He went in a separate car, left the parking lot. Those things will develop in Act 13, but right now we are in Act 12. There is no deadline on Act 12. Act 12 did not end on June 1st, the day that it begun. So many people misread that. The deadline, there is no deadline. Act 12 continues on into next week. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to be leaving this live stream here shortly. We want to thank you all. Make sure if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel because you'll get notified of when we pop up again, because it could be at any moment, anytime we could pop up in a live show and you'll get notified of our episodes as well. Thank you all for joining us. Great show, great comments, great phone calls. Thank you for the donations. We appreciate you all so very much. The Little General and myself appreciate what you all have done here, PATC community, what you have done for our show. It's been unbelievable. We haven't even been around for 10 months, and look what you guys have done. So, from all of us at PATC to all of you, until next time, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.